But let's take a look here at Yang's original tweet, and then we can get to Jimmy's response to it, which again was great. Yang says, the core problem is that Democrats and Republicans answer to their most animated partisan voters, the 10 to less than 15% most extreme in party primaries, while most Americans are left without meaningful say or input at the forward party. So this is obviously a pretty dumb fucking tweet. Obviously, if you want to look at it, Zach and I are among the 10% or 15% most extreme fucking, voters in what the Democratic Party would hope to court as, their electorate. They don't take our fucking opinions into consideration. Are you fucking kidding me? You think the Democratic Party is answering to extreme lefties like Zach and I? Are you fucking kidding me? That's ridiculous if you think that. In fact, they go out of their way to shove people like us to the side and say, get the fuck out of here with that anti-establishment rhetoric and policy idea. We're, going to stick with the nothing is going to fundamentally change approach. We're going to manage the status quo at most and not pass any real legislation. Like,
what? Do you want Donald Trump?
Exactly. And then on the Republican side, sure, the Republican base had definitely kind of united around Donald Trump last time, and certainly they are the most extreme voters, but I don't think the Republican Party at all is answering to those people necessarily. In fact, they've tried at every turn to stop Donald Trump and his, faux populist cult-like movement. Remember Mitt Romney coming out there on the TV in 2016 and urging people to choose rationality and reason over, Donald Trump, and they carted out every goddamn last one of them, every establishment figure to try to stop that. It was only basically by a fluke that he got through. So, this is a pretty dumb tweet. Do you have any initial response to this before we put Jimmy's tweet up on the screen, Zach?
Well, it's funny enough that, Jimmy comes in here with the pile driver and it's exactly the correct response. So we'll just go ahead and let the man do his own talking. Not much else to say after this, but he says, no, the core problem is that both political parties are owned by corporations in Wall Street and serve the same donor class, leaving us with an oligarchy, not a democracy, and the biggest income inequality since the Gilded Age. You serve the same people, and that's 100% what's happening. That is 100% what's happening. That's why it doesn't matter if you vote one way or the other. That Wall Street gives more money to the Democrats than they do to the Republicans. If you're voting for anti-capitalist legislation, it doesn't matter where you do it. You can vote for the Republicans and you can vote for the Democrats, and it'll be just as worthless as if you didn't vote at all. You know what I'm saying? So.
Yep, 100%. And as you can see here, this is a ratio. Jimmy's tweet got 3,168 likes. Andrew's only got 3,055. So it is worth mentioning that he done got ratioed by Jimmy Dore. And yeah, Jimmy's absolutely correct here. Both political parties are owned by corporations in Wall Street. They both serve the same donor class, leaving us with an oligarchy, not a democracy, and the biggest income inequality since the Gilded Age. So that's 100% correct. And he's absolutely correct that Andrew Yang also serves the same people, because as Andrew Yang showed, he fucking got down on his knees, endorsed Joe Biden, was hoping for a vice presidential spot or maybe an administration position. He was all ready to join the Democratic Party. And that's another big reason why I just really do see through Andrew Yang's whole third party thing now that he's pretending that he's on the third party page. It's like, I remember not even a fucking year ago, dude, when you were in Georgia campaigning for Raphael Warnock and John Ossoff, acting like, the Democratic Party needed your help, and you were the number one devoted soldier to the Democratic Party. I lived in Georgia for 3 months to campaign for Warnock and Ossoff. And then as soon as you lose your race in the New York City mayoral race as a Democrat, now you're going to be like, oh, I'm leaving the Democratic Party. I've had an awakening, and it's actually, not the correct way to go anymore. I'm starting a third party. It's just the most obvious thing ever what happened here. Because literally a year ago, you were simping for the Democratic Party. You were acting like they were the way forward. You were endorsing Joe Biden, who represents the, corporate rot and neoliberalism that has come to define the Democratic Party. You weren't pointing these things out when it mattered, Andrew. You were, trying to get in on it. You were trying to get a seat at the table. It's only now that you've completely faded from irrelevancy and failed at your own quest for power, that you're somehow coming to this clear-eyed, realization about the true nature of the Democratic Party and the two-party duopoly as a whole. And it just really does come off as super insincere, especially when you think about that interview, which we mentioned earlier, conducted by Cenk Uygur, when he asked them, would you take any corporate PAC money? Would the Forward Party, participate in this legalized bribery of corporate PACs just funneling money into your campaign? Basically the industries which politicians are supposed to be regulating, funding their campaigns. That's insane to think about. But nope, Andrew Yang didn't agree. He was like, "Oh, I don't have to worry about that because they're not going to want to donate to me anyway." Again, proving his massive naivete or just plain stupidity.
Yeah, it's not naivety, bro. It's definitely he knows what the fuck he's doing. He's fucking selling snake oil just like all these other fucking clowns. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. Anyway, I thought this was a pretty funny tweet, and it seems like most people across the board agreed, as you can see here. I guess I muted him, but apparently even his most loyal supporters are calling him out. And this is a tweet from John Munitz, who runs the People's Basics, basically an Andrew Yang simp, a Yang ganger. Andrew, the Democratic Party does not listen to the 10 to 15% most extreme in their party. The establishment actively fights its left wing. Thank you. That's 100% correct. Do you really think that the problem is that the Democratic Party is listening to Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren types over Joe Manchin? So yeah, there you go. This is a great rebuttal from John, who, like I said, is basically one of the bigger Yang gangers around. I think the dude's interviewed Andrew Yang like a multitude of times. So even Yang's own base, his own, the remaining ragtag Yang gangers that are still around, floating around in the ether of political Twitter, even they're like, all right, bro, this is a miss. This is just bullshit. We see what you're doing here. And yeah, again, he's absolutely correct. Sometimes the people running for the primary, the nomination, they pretend to be, Bernie Sanders-esque, Kamala Harris pretending to be in favor of universal health care and such. But the problem is as soon as they actually get in power, they completely drop all of those promises. They completely dropped any, front of being lefty at all, and just reveal themselves to be the establishment creatures, which we all suspected they were to begin with. So even if they're, catering to the most extreme voters, which I don't even agree with, but even if that was true, that's not the problem. The problem is that when they get into office, they don't fulfill those promises, that they drop the act and, turn into the swamp monsters that, like I said, we all knew they were to begin with.
Yeah, and Andrew Yang stood on the sideline and watched this whole go down. Watched all of this go down with like fucking impeccable vision, right? Sideline seats, and he's still like, no, I don't think that corporations actually have that much sway over our politicians. Like he literally will say that today, and this is how this is how he's gonna try and divert attention from the real problems with his forward with his forward party, because he's trying to position himself as being non-threatening to Democrats so he can still get on fucking MSNBC and just be that like little outsider birdie that sells books and is like, well, if the Democrats were doing this, then maybe people like the Forward Party would vote for them and blah blah. But it's not like a serious challenge. It's not like a serious bone to pick like the Green Party has with a fundamental policy difference. It's just like, well, I disagree with the Democrats a little bit, and that's how he's gonna kind of always maintain that like safety where he's not going to get destroyed, because he's kind of almost like making criticisms that Republicans could make, and you kind of like sit in that weird seat and you're still a part of mainstream culture. And it seems like that's the calculus that he's tried to make. The only problem is that most of the people who he would be appealing to have access to the internet and aren't dumb as rocks and can easily see what the fuck is being done. And if they can't, they have like 10 million other people who are spelling it out for them on Twitter. So yeah, this is how you ruin your credibility and implode your relevance.
Yeah, totally. And also, it's just like Andrew Yang, most people are smarter than you're giving them credit for, because we see what you're doing, trying to play this whole like, I'm an outsider, but I'm also constantly trying to get on the inside. We see what you're fucking doing, bro, and it doesn't work, because most people that are interested in the third party approach, most of those people are pro campaign finance reform. Most of them understand the corrupting influence of big money, super PAC money in our politics, which is why they're third party voters in the first place. Most third party voters, I would say almost 95% or more of them, campaign finance is a big part of the reason why they refuse to participate in the Democrat-Republican duopoly, the system that is forced on us, again, because they know that it's corrupt. They know that these politicians have been bribed by industry, by the giant corporations, into enacting their will, into passing policies that will only help them and not hurt them. So for him to seemingly not understand that, and for him to seemingly not understand a number of issues, for also, the Israel-Palestine one, it's like, the percentage of people in the Venn diagram is getting less and less, of people that support third parties and agree with you on those issues. So who exactly are you trying to appeal to here, man? Because again, you tried to play this whole loyal Democrat soldier game for a while, and that clearly didn't work. So now it's just like a blatant shift of lanes of trying to garner a new angle and a new niche, and it just doesn't really seem to be working all that well. The guy constantly gets made fun of and ratioed on Twitter, and again, because of the fact that he did play loyal to the Democratic Party for so long, now whenever he does tweet shit that's in favor of third parties or that's critical of the Democratic Party, he gets dogpiled by all these like blue check liberals that are saying, "Oh, you're helping Trump. Why are you helping Trump? This is just a distraction to help Trump, et cetera, et cetera." That's all they have. But again, because he wanted to play the loyal soldier to the Democratic Party for as long as he tried to, he's always going to have those people coming after him now. They're always going to be dogpiling him in his replies and calling him out from what they see from their perspective. So again, he's just trying to find a lane here, but kind of low-key failing.
Oh yeah, he's failing fucking abysmally, and I think we'll just watch the spiraling of Andrew Yang as he's tries desperately to find footing, right? But yeah, he's not willing to actually go to war with anybody because then he would risk the onslaught of the mainstream media, which he's proven time and time again. He's not willing to jeopardize his soft seat, his ability to get a Morning Joe appearance if he decides to button up his act and be favorable. That's why he'll kind of make these like weird, above partisanship kind of commentary and lectures, or like woke scolding them or whatever from like this weird, I'm holier than thou, I'm above partisanship, kind of like Silicon Valley kind of energy. Anyway, I don't know. We can stop banging down on Andrew Yang. You guys get the point. He's a fraud. But yeah.
Yeah, that Matthew McConaughey, I'm above the fray. We just need to unite as a country instead of actually addressing any of the actual political, hardships that face us in a substantive way. Let's just talk about how we need to come together and, rise above the fray of partisanship and all these bland cliches that really don't actually mean fucking anything. And yeah, again, that's just what sickens me about this dude. And what is so disappointing, again, we finally have a somewhat high profile person involved in or seemingly interested in third parties. And it's fucking Andrew Yang. It's like, Jesus Christ, we cannot get a break in this country as a left. But yeah, we'll shut up about Andrew Yang. You guys get the point.